All right. We should be live. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me. It is nice to be back 2 weeks in a row. Unfortunately, next week I will not be able to stream, at least not on Sunday. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it work next week at all, but it won't be able to happen on Sunday because I'll be at a disc golf conference. I've gone to the Unchained conference the last 2 years. This is put on by Eagles Wings, which is the Christian organization that runs the chapels at the Pro Tour events. And I'm going to be out of state once again. I know I traveled a lot throughout December and a lot for Christmas. So it was nice to be able to get two streams in a row. I have to skip next Sunday and maybe next week, but then I'll be back, hopefully for the long haul. We got Dice Heiser, not Disc Heiser, but Dice Heiser in the chat. Todd, thanks for stopping by. What's up? JCT hopping on too, saying Brad. JCT, really, truly an amazing disc golfer, except he doesn't like wardens. The only real flaw that he has, and it is a major flaw. Judges are okay, I guess. Doc says, hope you have a great time. Thank you. Flying Potato says, yo. Thanks for hopping on, man. Good to see you, Justin. Doc says, disc golfer having to travel. Sounds odd. Does sound odd, JCT says. Yeah, well, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's very voluntary. Like, obviously, if you are on the Pro Tour, it's part of the deal. And for me, it's like, I'm not on the Pro Tour, and I've decided to, sign up for this conference. I decided to play a tournament in Florida. Those are, things that I decide to do. Travel to Amateur Worlds in Missouri, travel to U.S. Amateurs in Michigan. So when it starts adding up and it gets busy, it's kind of on me. But this conference is really great. 2 years ago, I ended up having a really great time. I had one of the best rounds of the year I guess the best round of the first half of the year. I ended up having some 1,000 rated rounds near the end. But I put up a 993 rated round in January. That was a really great start to the year. I ended up acing in an ace throw-off and winning several discs, and including some from Paul Macbeth's personal collection. Then last year, I ended up winning a couple of discs for a couple of different reasons. One of them being that I had one of the best rounds with the Makani, including a skip ace on the first hole, which was only about 210 feet, but it was still pretty stinking cool to watch that go in. And made some great friends, some good connections. Several pro disc golfers who are Christians will be there, like probably Gannon Burr, Silas Schultz, Joel Freeman, Culver Dolan, Sullivan Tipton, maybe Isaac Robinson. I don't know for sure if he's going to be there or not, but it's just really, really great. And then, of course, a bunch of just disc golfers who love the sport, may or may not be good, but are going to be passionate, having a great time. It's really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to it. Doc says, JCT, I love the wardens, but I get it. Buzzes don't work for me. JCT says, wardens are only good throwing putters until you lose them. I have lost a few throwing wardens. That has happened. Doc says, as bad as my shots are, I'm usually far enough from the basket. I'm throwing my putter instead of putting it. That's fair. Doc says, what's your putter of choice? The Judge, of course. I know that. Doc doesn't pay attention, but I know that. And JCT says Judge all the way. I mean, it's good. It tries to be the Warden. I don't know what it's doing with having a bead, but otherwise, it's doing its best to be a Warden. Let me see. This is pretty good. Just adjust it a tiny bit, maybe. I always adjust like halfway through the stream. I'm like, wait, I look a little off. Tiny bit. Doc says Judges roll away from the basket for me. So yeah, I mean, they can roll. This is really funny. So I played a tournament yesterday, just an easy, I didn't play well, but an easy course. But we went to get in some practice at, what's it called? Veterans Park, which is a 9-hole course in Charlotte. And we get out, and it is just ripping wind, like unbelievable ripping wind, impossible to really practice other than practicing in crazy wind. And I putted maybe 4 times, and one of my putts, I was probably 18 feet away. I hit left side chains. It chained through, fell out, and proceeded to wobble for 150 feet. Every time it looked like it tried to sit down, the wind would just lift it back up again. And it would wobble the other way and then swing back. And I'm telling you, this was probably a 15-second roll away on flat ground, completely flat ground, where this disc just drunkenly wanders its way across the open field, being just pushed on by the wind. I really had filmed it because it was one of the most incredible moments that I've ever seen. And I've seen some crazy rollaways down hills, and I've had rollaways go out of bounds and things like that. I have never ever seen a further rollaway on flat ground. That just blew my mind. And I had witnesses. And as it's rolling, my brother's hat goes flying off his head and tumbling across the ground like it was windy. It was crazy. It was pretty funny. Miracle roll. Lucky to witness it. Yes. Yes, I was. I wasn't even mad. I mean, it was just practice anyway, but the further it rolled, the happier I was that it kept going. It was just incredible. Doc says, first time at a used store, I picked up 2 classic Judges and 2 classic Wardens, did some putter rounds, and went with the Warden. JCT got the Warden back that he lost. Hey, there you go. Get that back. That's always nice. Doc says, just have to talk you into the Lemon McBreezy Judge from Bobby Cool Daddy Slick Breeze. I don't even know if that's a real thing or not, but I know that the lemon smelling judges are real, so I guess you can give that a try if you want. Doc says that, or Doc got an invisibility cloak. That would have been more impressive because it was so like you couldn't have made it happen if you tried. Like, there's no way that you could fake how like wobbly it was, and it was so clearly like driven by the wind. It wasn't like a straight roll. Like it wasn't just rolling away from the basket, and it didn't even land like on its side rolling. It really just kind of landed and bounced up and just pushed by the wind, just slowly rolled and just kept on almost falling and then flipping back up, almost falling and then flipping back up. Is crazy. JCT says, short with the clip, I threw a step putt, hit the right side of the cage, and sat on top of a old grain silo top. That was funny. I saw that one. I laughed at that one. I don't remember if I think I commented on that one. Yeah, I saw that clip. That was very funny. Hey, Dujet says, what's up? Thanks for hopping on, Dujet. Appreciate you hanging out and being here with us. Steph says, Bradley, tell me you're playing AM Worlds again this year. I'm not. I've accepted cash in the professional division, and I no longer qualify for playing in the amateur division. So I have moved up. I have stepped into the pros division, and I cannot play AM Worlds. So I will not be there, unfortunately. Where is AM Worlds this year? And is it near you? That would be funny. Is it Texas? Doc says, I'm spreading the shoe love. Gave a guy with some friends starting up the sport. Heck yeah, that's how it's done. It just says, shoes, ironically, actually a great beginner disc. I think it is a good beginner disc. I agree. It's basically just the Stingray, and the Stingray was my first mid-range, and it really was good for me learning. And it actually was my first birdie, was a throw-in with the Stingray. I did not have a birdie putt as my first birdie. It was like 100 feet. Very lucky. But even so, the Stingray was just so good to get training with the throwing, the upshots. And I agree. It's a good beginner disc. The shoe being essentially just a Stingray, especially the flippier plastic. It's probably even a little bit better. It's pretty perfect to give away. I do need to give away. I still have these shoes here, still have a planned video on the shoes, and still need to give them away. I'm gonna have to just refilm everything because I had a lot of throws with the shoes filmed and prepared for the video. I've been so behind on all of my editing and everything. I'm gonna have to just not scrap the video, but just refilm everything. And it's gonna have to be after several videos I'm working on. It's gonna have to be after In the Bag 2026, and it's gonna have to be after the Boca review, which is overdue by a long shot, but I really need to get a good review out of the Boca because it's a great disc and I hit some good angles with it. It's really nice. Doc says, cool, Daddy Slick Breeze Disc Golf Answer Man was one of the OG disc blogs. Wow. I read a blog once. I was 11. Doc says, yep, that's why I give them away. Also, they're cheap. Dude just says, I've been looking everywhere for that Ledgestone Zone SS, but it's all sold out. That is brutal. That is too bad. Everybody loves the Zone SS. It's great. JCT says, Brad, what is the most underrated disc that's not talked about much? Great question. Depends on who you are and what you like, what kind of disc you like. I would say that the Brave is one of the most under-referenced discs for its, you know, accessibility to new players, and it's just like great distance. It's capable of really going really far. And I just never see people like talking about the Brave very often. And usually when somebody talks about Latitude, they're like, oh, hey, this, I love the Grace, I love the Rive, I love the River, whatever. And I'm like, do you like the Brave? And they're like, And I'm like, I think the Brave deserves to be in the conversation as well. It's just so good. It comes in the stable plastic and the flippy plastic, and I've had both. Like I have multiple Braves. I have Project Grip Brave, and it's just such a fantastic disc. Um, can go so far for a 7-speed, so glidey, just a touch of drift, and it's just really really nice. So a little bit of an under talked about disc in my opinion. Steph says, no, Bradley, what is your rating at now? Am Worlds is in Buffalo, New York. Ooh, Buffalo, New York. Wow, I don't know if I would want to compete in Buffalo. I mean, I guess probably they picked good courses and everything. It is summer. My rating right now, I think it's 970. So it's fine. It's definitely not, close to 1,000 yet. And I've been very for the last like 4 months, actually maybe 6 months. I think before Am Worlds I was around 970, 968 to 971 has been where I've been sitting. I didn't have a great December and had a great December last year, so I anticipate dropping to 970, maybe 969 with the next ratings update, which I think is Tuesday. And then we'll see if I can pull that back up with some good rounds in Florida next weekend. That would be nice. Dude just says, I think Infinite has some. Whenever I try to pick a disc, it crashes the site for me. Oof. Dice Heiser says, all right, the Dayquil and Advil are kicking in. We're going disc golfing together. All right, gonna have a live from the course update from Todd. Heck yeah. Good luck, says Dude. Doc says, the confetti one, no worries. I know you're busy. Thank you. I know that you understand, which is nice. Dude, it says, the one with the steps to throw. Newest run, I think. Don't know which one that is. Doc says, get well soon, Dice. Blogs equal podcast. Sorry, sleepy. That's a totally different thing. Podcast is completely different. Blog? You know better. You must be falling asleep. A blog and a podcast are insanely different. It's completely categorically separate. Anyway, dude just says Infinite has some but can't select the disc. I'll have to tell Infinite to fix their stuff. That's crazy. Can't believe it. Dude, it says just crashed the site. Oh my gosh. That's annoying. Steph says last year Am Worlds, you got to play in a card with my homie Vaughn. Hey, how cool was it watching such a young kid compete and contend? First of all, Vaughn's awesome. Second of all, he has watched videos on the channel before he played with me on the card. He recognized me. That was awesome. Third, he is so good it's ridiculous. If he would have not missed aggressive putts and then missed comebackers, he would have been like fourth place or something. No, he was like fourth place. He would have been like competing for first, second. Like he'd have been right there with the top guys. He's very, very talented. He eagled hole 1 at Harmony Bends in a playoff for fourth place, I think. Yeah, he's extremely good. He's extremely good. It was very cool. He's super talented, and it was great to meet him and chat with him and his dad. And it was a very sweet time. His dad talked to me a little bit afterward, and it was just glad that Vaughn was able to have like a friendly interaction with me, and just thanked me for being open and kind. And I was just like, hey, I'm happy to. He's a great kid, very talented. Hey, mom has Minecraft with the 260 joules, New Year's Eve 2026. Thank you very much, and says like your shirt. Thank you. This is a nice sweatshirt that I have, and yeah, good design to it. It's blue, of course. I love blue, and a nice little fancier than most of my sweatshirts. It has a button, but I got it for Christmas. Good Christmas gift. Let's see. Kiwi Cord says, "Is there a giveaway? There will be soon." So I got myself this Rolo. I'm sure all of you love throwing Rolos, especially Dujit. And what it's actually 176 grams, so full weight Halo Rolo. And so it's actually probably not the crazy flippy for some of might be expecting. Some of us like Dujit, of course, are gonna flip it over into a upside down cut roller. But I will be giving away this Rolo soon, so keep your eyes peeled for a giveaway. Run them immediately on stream, but I will post a video, have you guys leave comments on the video, and then run the giveaway live in a couple of weeks. So I will be giving away this Rolo. I actually Nolan with Chain Reactions because he does merchandise credit for amateur players, and I realized, hey, I might have some merch credit left over. And I asked if I had any. I had $25, and the Rolo was 24. So I was like, hey, free giveaway disc. Why not? So I snagged it yesterday. Let's see. Dude says Infinite has some clear ones that look sweet and are cheaper, but like I said, can't pick out the disc. Such a bummer. Kiwi says, hey Doc, it's Edis with Luke. I changed my name. I'm the 14 new disc golfer. Were you chatting? Did you catch Doc in a different stream? That's really cool. I don't think I recognize the username myself. Kiwi says, been in many locations and love your channel. Can I be a mod? Many locations or many live streams? It's all right. I'm trying to read through all the comments and I'm getting a little confused here. Basically, my standard for being a mod is that you just have to show up for a couple of streams and just kind of be, generally well behaved, and then I'll make you a mod. So I don't remember your username from previous streams. So I'll say as long as you have this Kiwi Chords username and jump into a stream in the future, I'll make you a mod. So that'll be my only like requirement. I won't do it today just because I just hesitate to, mod people on the spot. But appreciate you being here. And yes, yeah, it's no problem to become a moderator as long as I have a level of trust with you built up. So hang out in this stream and come back, and then I'll make you mod. Dox's Rolos are fun in the wind. 176 grams? Yeah, of course. It's why not a max weight Rolo? Because that's, Halo Plastic max weight Rolo. It might actually like fly. I think Calvin's thrown air shots with Rolos, and it's fun to watch because it's a Rolo and he doesn't roll them. It's been pretty funny to watch that. I imagine it was like max weight Halo. Dude just says, honestly hoping this isn't the one giveaway I win. That would be hilarious and a little bit tragic. That would be very funny. Doc says, when on water holes, I just use the dragon from tee to basket. I mean, I missed JCT's comment. I think Doc should putt with Innova Dragons. I think Doc should putt with Innova Dragons. I would donate this very special dragon that I have that I love so dearly. I would donate this to Doc. I would give this up for my personal collection if Doc would putt with this. And especially if he would film it, because I would love to see that. I would really love to see that. Doc says, Dujit, you'll win a shoe. That'd be. Doc says, hey Luke, sorry, I was checking on something. Dujit says, I did take a week break from playing and my callus does seem to be fully healed. No longer hurts when I throw. That's really good. I'm a little surprised that within a week that happened. That's really great. I would think it, might be one of those things that takes longer or some type of, change, but I'm glad that 1 week was enough. That's really, really awesome. I'm happy about that. Doc says, great to hear, Dujit. Did 1010 have what you wanted? JCT says the mod dilly is overrated. Ooh. Mom has Minecraft says idea to promote Team Brad membership. All members are auto entered into giveaways. Thoughts? I think that's great. I think I'll do that. So yeah, if you are a channel member, you will automatically be in a giveaway unless you comment that you want to opt out, which is allowable. Otherwise, you are just going to be considered part of the giveaway because you are already, taking part in the channel in a beneficial way to me. And also, thank you and shout out Mom Has Minecraft for being one of my first members, channel members, and Doc as well. Doc was the first channel member. I think I made memberships around like 2 p.m. on a Sunday, and then by the time I was streaming, he had already gotten a membership and was, the first member of the channel. So shout out Doc and shout out Mom Has for joining Team Brad. I am planning to drop another membership tier soon. I think you guys will be very interested to see what it has. Nothing incredibly special, but it should be fun to have a couple of tiers available to kind of pick between. And there will be some fun perks as well. So that will be coming fairly soon. Keep your eyes peeled for that. And it's one great way that you can support me. Anything that you do on the channel is helpful just in general. Watching anything helps me. Leaving a comment helps me. Even when Doc leaves a comment based on the previous video that he watched on someone else's channel, it still helps me. And so I appreciate you guys interacting, joining the live streams, and of course, any form of donation is really great, and joining the membership is really incredible. And that is a kind of slow building over the long-term support that will really help me just be able to keep making content for the channel and keep making the channel better in the long term. Dude just says, I think I'm going to try to order from Infinite on a different device because I can get 10% off. Yeah, maybe it is just like use your phone or use a laptop instead of your phone. Doc says, Brad, I'll try to make a short video of me putting with the dragon, maybe on a putter course with the dragon and maybe another disc. Go to a noob you meet while out. That sounds great. I love that. JCT, taking a shower, might be back later. Unlike Todd, unlike Diceizer, not taking the chat in and leaving comments in the shower, which is probably smart. Good for your phone. Doc says, okay, dude, I see the issue. Only a few left. You have to click on one that's like lit up. Interesting. Dude, going to pick up a Melita or Halix while I'm there. Heck yeah. What the Halix is Ricky Waisaki's new disc, right? What is that? Is that like a Raptor? Like a more stable Raptor? Overstable Raptor? And we already have the Cap Rat. What is the Halix? I cannot remember. Doc says, yeah, way not to be a team player. Diceizer saying, wait, what? Hey, we know that you take the chat into the shower and give us live updates. We don't necessarily need that. We might it might be a little bit uncomfortable. We appreciate it, of course. The shower might be a little bit next level, but I mean, hey, dedication is dedication. I won't complain. But JCT probably making the smart choice. Well, it was very interesting in my tournament yesterday because in warm up it was incredibly windy, just ripping wind, enough to roll a putter, a slow moving putter on flat ground, 150 feet, which is just incredible. Then when I started the competitive round, it was about a half hour away, and it actually was very calm at first. It got windy throughout the round. It was also just kind of wet and slippery. The tee pads got very slick. My shoes were not handling it much in the wind, or in the rain, or at least the wet tee pads. I slipped a few times, and I chained out of 4 putts, which was pretty heartbreaking because at Bailey, it's a 20-hole easy course. The winner went 16 down in MPO. I went 10 down, but I chained out of 4 putts and slipped on the tee pad 3 or 4 times. And it's like, the difference between 10 down, which is second to last, and 15, which was second place, my brother took second, is basically not chaining out of those putts and not slipping once or twice. And it's like, that could have gone so much better with just a tiny little insignificant tweak. I could have gone from a 950 rated round to like a 1010 rated round. just a bummer. It didn't go well. Wasn't perfect. Actually, one of my best shots was a forehand with the Berg X, a little touchy downhill shot through a bit of a gap with an awkward angle, and I pretty much parked it. I was very happy about that. Doc says watching Bonanza Discs road trip gave me a question. You get 5 days dropped off and picked up at any point you want. Where are you going and who are you taking? Dice says, oh yeah, the infamous shower sessions. Yeah, the updates that you take us along for the ride. Very, very strange. Doc, I don't know. You're saying just like, are you saying disc golf wise, or are you just saying like hiking wise? I don't know. Are you saying like for hitchhiking? I don't quite get the question. Just dropped off and picked up at any point, and you can just hang out there. I don't know. Are we talking like somewhere with disc golf courses? You get a 5 day road trip? Okay, I'll catch up in a second with Doc. I'll come back to that. Dude just says, okay, I got it to work, and I'm gonna order a clear rainbow foil one and a Molito. Ooh, that sounds awesome, and a disc that Doc is gonna love for you too. Doc says, best part of the show, Dice. Don't know about that. Doc says, I thought you said got to go to work. Dujit, becoming more of a sucker for Discraft day by day. They have a lot of good plastic. They have a lot of cool stamps. They have a lot of cool designs. They have good discs. Like there's a reason that they're the most. They're making the most money. They're good. Doc says nothing wrong with Discraft. Not my cup of tea, but good. Okay, Doc says you get a 5 day road trip. Your car is dropped off at PEI, and you get 5 days to drive and play. Okay. I don't understand exactly what you're saying, but you're basically saying you just drive, you have 5 days to just drive and play whatever disc golf courses you want. Okay. Your car is dropped anywhere in the world. You have 5 days with 3 friends, anyone in the world. Who are you taking going where? Oh my gosh. Okay, that's a little more clear. Yeah, I would say probably Europe. It's probably going to be, it's hard to say what driving distances are. I'm used to driving a lot in the United States, so I might even do something like Norway and Sweden, and then kind of just drop down into Europe and see what I can reach. I would have to actually like plan an itinerary and put a trip together. But if I had that opportunity, I would probably for the disc golf, I'd have to take my brother, my buddy Sam, and probably Brent. I probably have to take Brent. Left out. I think they would most appreciate the disc golf trip of traveling like that and being able to compete, or not compete, but being able to experience the courses in Europe, especially like Valhalla and some of the just crazy courses in Norway and Sweden. I think that'd be very cool. That's probably my thought process. Dude just says, different question. Top 5 bucket list courses you want to play anywhere in the world. For me, Maple Hill, The Beast, Toboggan, USDGC, New London. Yeah, having played 3 of those, I have played Maple Hill, Toboggan, and USDGC. I will say they are incredible courses. Maple Hill is my favorite of the 3, and I think there's a good reason that makes it your number 1. I would say Toboggan is an awe-inspiring course that has to be experienced once. I don't actually like competing there. I don't think Gannon Burr likes competing there, but it's a beast of a course. And USDGC, similar, kind of similar. I think it is more enjoyable to play, but it's also more prone to wind. That can really be devastating. But all of those courses are very good choices, so I like those choices. I haven't played New London or the Beast, but maybe one day. Maybe one day. Doc says, so it's like no worries about getting there or getting home in the time period, just driving. Okay. Finally, I understood the question more fully. Doc says, good choices, Dujit. Yeah, I think that's a good list. I think if I had to make a bucket list, I would maybe put on, I would think I'm going to put courses on there that are harder. Like those are the bucket list ones in Europe because I can reach a lot in the US. Like I can just go if I want to. And so I guess, maybe I'm thinking more of the bucket list as if it's like a dream. Like if only I could play that course. But maybe practical is better because then you can actually check it off before you die. Maybe that's smarter. So it makes sense. Well, this coming weekend in less than a week, my brother and I will be traveling down to Florida. We will be headed out Thursday afternoon, evening, and then we will have a tournament on Friday with some of the pros playing at the temp course that I set up every year at the Eagles Wings Conference, the Keystone Heights Conference Center, something like that. It's a camp that they have out there, um, which is a pretty fun course. They really got more creative last year. It was a little bit more simple, and last year I think they put in some nice, fun effort to make it more creative and more difficult. It was a good experience. If I had putted well, I would have rated extremely well and could have won in MPO. I did not putt well. I missed 5 circle 1 putts and was sad about that. Then on that is Friday, and then on Saturday there's like a triples team event where every team has like a pro, the pro for my team because I am competing in MPO and rated above a certain threshold. But it's really cool because a lot of people who aren't super great will play with Sullivan Tipton or Justin Rozak or Ty Love or Joel Freeman and be able to be like, oh, this guy's he's so good. I mean, even sometimes people are at a level where they play with me and they're like, oh, you're so great. And I'm like, I'm decent. The pro tour, like the guys are literally here. Culver Dolan's literally here. And I cannot cut it at his level. But it's just a good, fun experience for that. And it's pretty great because I can let my teammates go first and then run some crazy putt. It's a lot of fun. Then let's see, there's a collegiate doubles, which I think is kind of like you have 2 doubles teams on a team and you go back and forth best shot, pretty much. It's pretty fun kind of setup. And then that's Sunday. Then on Monday, we have another tournament, solo tournament, before we head out. And all between that, there's breakout sessions, there's some lessons from the pros, there's chapel and worship, there's some discipleship and teaching. There's going to be an ace throw off like there was the last 2 years. There's food. People will take board games. It's just a blast. So shout out for next year. The Eagles Wings Conference is pretty great. It is a little bit pricey, but it includes lodging and food for 3.5 days, and all like not the tournaments to start and end the weekend, but the events in the middle of it are all paid for. Like you're not paying for things throughout the weekend. You just have to sign up for the tournament separately. Pretty great. Okay, Dice Heiser says hole 1 par. Tried musket for the first time. More overstable than anticipated. Not everything flies like Disc Golf Valley. Doc says, yeah, Brad can actually get time off to go and do what some of us only dream about. I didn't get any time off when I played Maple Hill. That was just incidental. But yeah, for playing Toboggan, I mean, I have family in the area that helped. But Dude says, I could have sworn Bedanza was going to move to Charlotte, especially with that word hint in the last episode. Doc says, Keystone Heights sounds wrong. Isn't sea level? Oh, it's 94 feet above sea level, so it's way, way up there above everything else. Dude says, I forgot Cary even existed, to be honest. Cary is close, isn't it? Cary's pretty close to Charlotte. Doc says, Brad, we couldn't hear your pro for your team. What does that mean? We couldn't hear your pro for your team? You mean like because I was considered the pro, even though I'm not on the pro tour? Kevin says, football on in the background while listening to my boy Bradley. Doesn't get any better than this. And yes, I said more better. Okay, I skipped it for you because I was like, that's bad writing. But he did say doesn't get any more better than this on purpose, and he stuck with it. I guess we all make choices, like me being friends with Kevin and Kyle. But I appreciate you hanging out and supporting, as always. And by the way, if you guys feel like it, check out Kevin Galloway's channel. He's got some disc golf on there. He's got me on there a few times. And then he's got all sorts of random stuff like running up stairs and hills and playing pickleball and tennis. Conglomerate. It's a conglomerate channel. Dice Heiser says, hole 2 par. AVR3 hit a tree off the tee. Doc says, that's what trees do. Duda says, Brad, do you think that you would have a chance versus a low tier touring pro when it's your best ever play versus their worst? Well, I would say yes because I've beaten Paul Uleberry in a tournament. So I would say yes, but it's that overlap point, right? Because this year I played in the Charlotte Roar Open a year ago at Angry Beaver, and I took 6th place and beat Paul Uleberry. I beat Ule. This year in the Charlotte Roar Open, we play Hornets Nest, Bradford Hornets Nest, and guess what? Paul won. I didn't even cash. So it's like he has overlap with me when he's not playing at his best, and I'm playing well in that tournament. I could have taken second if I made all my putts inside circle 1. I didn't. I putted poorly for both rounds, but I was in second place after round 1, and I dropped to 6th place with 3 missed circle 1 putts in round 1, and I can think of 3 missed circle 1 putts right now in round 2. So it was a situation where if I'd played my best, I actually would have been beating a couple of Pro Tour guys, including Clay Edwards, and who's the other one? But yes, then of course you jump forward 1 year and Yuli destroys not destroys everyone, but wins by 1, and is just like wrecking Hornets Nest. So it's like it depends on where you play, because there will be courses where somebody who can throw 450 will beat me, period, just because they can clear OB, they can throw to certain spots that I can't reach, and they can even just miss birdies and take pars where I am struggling to par and keep up. So I do think that there is that kind of overlap where a Pro Tour guy is here, and the top guys are here, Pro Tour guys are here, and then I'm like this, where I have that kind of overlap and maybe play up a little bit sometimes. So if I play in that like good, I just have to cross my fingers and hope they play in that bad. And if they do, then it's like, oh, we're close. But I think I beat Yuli by 2. So it was close. Like it wasn't like a lot. Dice Either says, yep, live by the tree, die by the tree. Doc says, dude, he beat Yuli. Yes. Dude says, that's why I hate AVRs, Todd. Doc says, who's the pro for your team? Oh, we don't know yet. Sorry, I didn't think that you were asking about this coming year. I was talking about last year. We don't have teams like attributed to us yet. After all of us show up and, people don't attend the conference or whatever, they're going to shuffle out the teams. I think last year Gannon twisted his ankle, or maybe 2 years ago, Gannon twisted his ankle playing basketball. So he had to drop out of the team event and stuff like that. But yeah, so it depends on how they shuffle things. Last year, my brother got paired up with another guy who plays MPO, and their team tied for first or tied for second, something like that, in one of the team events. And it was like they got a little bit more stacked. For my team, I was the pro, and both of the other players were decent, but I would say comparable to like low MA2. And so for a lot of upshots, they were fantastic. For a couple clutch putts, they were great. But for a lot of other things, it's my tee shot a lot of the time. Not all the time, but a lot of the time. Or they let me be more aggressive. And then I hit a lot of long putts that really kept us close to the top few teams, but not that good. So I have no idea who we're going to play with or if I'll be the pro. Doc says, wait, you are the pro? Oh, hey, good luck anyway. Thanks, Doc. Dice Heiser says 20-foot birdie putt on hole 3, bounces up off the rim, bounces again off the rim, teeters, falls out. Par again. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Dude says hot take, the buzz is entirely overrated for how popular it is. I will somewhat agree with that. I've thrown the buzz. I like it. I like the buzz SS way more. But I like the echo. The echo is my straight mid range instead of the buzz. I think the buzz is great. I don't think it's bar none the best mid range, and nothing compares. I think if you are Discraft only, then it's the buzz. For sure. For sure. Or the buzzsaw. Dox is not a big buzz guy, but love the buzzsaw. Kevin Galloway says, thanks for the shout out. Bradley, Leah's family wanted to play disc golf today, and we played literally in the snow with 20-mile-an-hour wind. What discs do you throw in that much wind? I would be throwing everything stable. It would be Zone, Taco, Raptor, and Respecty, although I wouldn't throw that in the snow. That vanished because mine's see-through. And Rive. Yeah. Basically, and Berg-X. Like, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. Dox is very overstable full weight discs. Maybe some heavyweight 200-gram condors. Dujit says, also, I somehow sliced the flight plate open on my Ledgestone Scorch. Never had that happen. Doc says you threw the stamp off the disc. Yikes, that's brutal. Didn't use it much, too flippy. Yeah, I would think the Scorch would be too flippy for you. Unless it was like a Tour Series Scorch, I wouldn't think it would truly fly well consistently. Doc says 5 years, Duja is complaining because his tilt is getting too flippy. Dicizer, hole 4, another tree off the tee, another par. Just parring his way through the course. If you go all pars, I'll be very impressed. Duda says, Doc, LOL, Doc, I do think my bad form when I plays a part in it. Bad angle, bad release angle, etc. 70 to 80% is a lot better, though. There you go. Doc says, Paige Pierce used to talk about when she was always working on her form, would even be in line at a store working on her footwork, etc. Dude says, I find myself doing that when I'm alone doing something. Yeah, I definitely have put in more work than I have lately. Probably should put out a little bit more of that effort, but I've been busy. Been very, very busy. I think pushing into the spring, I'll have some more time to give to disc golf, putting and practicing, and a little more field work. Oh, okay. Dicizer, hole 5 parked, birdie. Heck yeah. Just as I said I'd be impressed with all pars, Todd says, well, it's not going to be all pars. I'm going to take a birdie. Doc says, yeah, shoe, of course, is the best mid-range. No. Dude just says, I found that I've beaten in my destroyer just enough where it flips up and finishes left around 400. Pretty nice flight. I would say so. Anything that flips up a little and hits 400 is pretty nice. Dicizer says, hole 6 parked while playing through. Bonus. Another birdie. Dude just says, enjoy that ego boost. Jiki says, we run it tomorrow. Is that a Team Brad? Heck yeah. We got a Team Brad custom emote. Tomorrow, no. Wednesday, yes. I'll be up for it Wednesday, but I will not be available tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Doc says, Brad, Condors, good in the snow and wind because, one, easy to throw for noobs, but also so large it's easy to find in the snow. GK says, I'm eating right now, so can't stay, but I'll message you. Okay. And another custom emoji with the soup. Love that. So well designed. I need to add the other custom emojis in now that we have a couple of members. There are a few more emojis that weren't. You had to get 4 members to unlock the next extra set of emojis. Got to include those. Diceizer says, hole 5 was EMAC Truth. Hole 6 was Eternal Void. There you go. Doc says, KKGK, enjoy the food. Dude says, Eternal Void is such a sick name for a run of a disc. It really is. And Diceizer says, 6 stamp 2. It's unreal. Hole 7 par. Bummer. Doc says, we got to get Dujit and Brad in doubles. Dujit's distance and Brad's putting. Unless Brent is on the team, I'd pull for y'all. That would be a good team. Would be a good team. Whisper Pikachu says, hi, Brent. Just played dubs today and would have won if they didn't do handicaps. Dang. What's up, Whisper? Brent isn't here, but I am, Brad. But we are having a good time hanging out. Bummer that you didn't win because of the handicaps. That's always a little bit of a bummer. When you actually score the best, you win raw, but you don't caps. Kind of a bummer. Dude says, I think it crumble under the star pressure doing doubles with Brad. LOL. There's not a whole lot of star pressure, especially when you see me throw and you're like Why does this look so much better on camera? It'd be a great time. All we would do is just warm up first, get all the nerves out of the way, and then focus up and execute. And we'd be a great team. Probably better than me and Brent. Whisper says, happy to catch one of these. Appreciate you hopping on the stream. Doc says, so Digit, you're like 18. Keep doing it. Eventually, you'll get comfortable. Dude says, I think our distances are pretty similar. Brad is just significantly more accurate. I would say that, Dude, you do outthrow me. But I do think accuracy tends to be my strength, especially in Charlotte in the woods. But yeah, I would say that you consistently outthrow me. You average further on drives, I would say, for sure. Whisper Pikachu says, I can spell good sometimes. LOL. Doc says, now Brad's old, so he has to shake those fears quick. What does that mean? I have less time? I'm gonna die soon? I don't understand what you're saying. Maybe because I'm old, I'm able to move beyond the nerves more quickly, I guess. I don't know. Dude just says, a couple years off, but you get the point, Doc. Dice says, hole 8 par. So we have, what, 4 pars, 2 birds, and 2 more pars? Yeah. Disc Golf 394 says, hi guys, thanks for hopping on. Doc says, yeah, Brad, what you said. Yeah. It's in my old age, I'm realizing that my impending doom is coming quickly. So I have to make the most with the time that I do have remaining. The short, sweet days that I have left on this earth, I cannot give in to fear. So I don't let nerves get the best of me for too long. Although Am Worlds was pretty tough. That was the most pressure I've ever felt in a disc golf competition. And it was more than, say, when I was like leading overnight in MA1 A tier in Florida. And it was more than I felt when I was like beating Yuli and doing well in the Charlotte Roar Open last year, because it was 5 days and I had a good round one, and then a bad round two. And it was just like, man, I felt both of those things and I have 3 more rounds to go. Like, am I going to plummet down to 40th? Like, what's going to happen? Am I going to pull back up to the top 5? Will I get a sponsorship, a manufacturer sponsorship out of this? It was all sorts of pressure, and I was feeling that like fear and trepidation. And like, I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night every night for 5 nights straight. Thankfully, I didn't have to play until like 2 p.m., so I got to sleep in, but it was annoying. It was tough. More than I usually have to deal with. Dice Heiser says, hole 9 par, end of the round, 2 down. I feel okay with that since I feel like crap. Yeah, the Dayquil kicks in, you feel good, you hit a round, and then by hole 7, you're like, what am I doing? Why am I out here? I'm tired. I'm actually sick. I should be recovering. No, I'm glad you got out. It's good to get some exercise in, but don't push yourself. No need to play through and birdie in front of more people. Get home, get some rest. Take a break. Dude just says, take what you can, I guess. Yeah, a couple birdies and no bogeys. That's just fine. I mean, it seems like you scrambled well if you hit a couple of trees off the tee and still got your pars. So a couple of good up shots and a couple birdies. Not bad. Not bad at all. Whew. Let's see. Do you guys do any New Year's resolutions? Anybody have a New Year's resolution going? Here, oh man, I forget. I can't start a Q&A once the stream's already going. I have to set that up ahead of time. So I don't have any official New Year's resolutions. I actually rarely do New Year's resolutions because I find that I don't do them. So what happens is sometime in December, I just kind of decide to do something, and I don't make it a resolution. I just make up my mind that I'm going to just do this thing. And it's not like, I just feel like I don't have the pressure of this is my New Year's resolution to fail. So that's kind of been my way of doing things. But I guess if I were to maybe pick a goal or a couple of goals for 2026, I would say 10,000 rated rounds. That's 10 separate 1,000 rated rounds, not 10,000 rated. Um, because this year I felt like I really could have and I should have done it, and I just didn't execute time after time when I was in position, and I didn't put a whole round together as often as I wanted to in tournament. So this year I would like to 10 times. I think that'd be really great, and I think that would pull my rating up to 985-ish, maybe, depending on if I have any rounds that are really stand out, high rated rounds. That would be really, really cool, especially since the last couple of months have been just okay and I'm losing great rounds from a year ago. It'd be nice to kind of balance those back out and set myself up for the following year to be a good, well-rated year. I would like to really lean into my Infinite Discs sponsorship, make the most of what I have with the ability to get gift cards through successful videos, and I would like to see the YouTube channel grow more. It's been very, very slow the last 3 months. It really dropped in viewership and subscriptions and really just slowed down to a crawl. And it seems like the people who have been fans are sticking around, but I'm just not getting showed to new people by YouTube. Like it's like YouTube just kind of gave up on like showing my content to new people. And it's just like, okay, if somebody wants to watch that, that's fine, but we're not going to put any work in to help you out. So I'm like, okay, fine, I guess. So it's been very, very slow for the last couple of months. I would like to start reversing that and actually kind of get some momentum back again and grow the channel a bit more. So 10,000 by the end of the year, 10,000 subscribers would be like a real significant milestone, I think, if I were able to make that. And let's see. I didn't realize that I had wanted to kind of make lead card coverage so much as I do, but I made lead card coverage at the very end of 2024 and at Am Worlds in 2025. I would like to keep the streak alive this year and make lead card coverage of some sort this year. I think that'd be really, really awesome. So that'd be really cool. And yeah, I think those are my main goals. I like to win an MPO tournament. I have already in the past, but I haven't done it since I can take cash. So I'd really like that to just be able to say, I paid a little bit of money to play and I won a lot comparative to the entry fee, and it was a successful tournament. Doc says, I'm making one. I'm going to try to give away 25 discs. I'm up to 4. And 4 pace, that is going to be 48 if you just do the 4 for the month, if you do every month. So you're at a great pace for getting 25 this year. Dude says, I've only got disc golf related ones. Doc says, last year was so wild, I'm just holding on. Mom has Minecraft says, New Year's resolution, make Minecraft videos. Insert shameless plug for my channel. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to have to watch all of those. I'll be very interested to see them. Minecraft videos are always fun. And there's a little bit, shall I say, too many screechy children making the videos. So I'd love to see one made by somebody with some class. I'm very interested. Dude says 925 to 950 rating, get a sponsor or some sort of team, and hit 450 feet consistently. Heck yeah. Yeah, Dude says you're on pace for like 50 then, Doc. Yes, true. John Kelly says you're going to do better this year, Brad. 450 consistently would be awesome. Yeah, 450 would be awesome for sure. Jeez. I would take that. That would be all that I would need in Charlotte competitively for distance. I would still be building accuracy, consistency putting, but that would be all I would need for distance. I don't need more than 450, really, on any hole. I'm excited for this year. I think that I achieved different things in 2025 than I planned on. I wanted 10,000 rated rounds last year, and I really didn't get that, but I tied for first at Am Worlds and made lead card coverage, and I never thought that I could do that until I was like on hole 12 or 13 at Am Worlds. I did not think that I could make lead card coverage, but around hole 13, I started to think like I can do this. Like I can get up to the top and be in the top 4 and get filmed tomorrow. And I was like, it was so exciting, but I was like, this is crazy. And then of course, on coverage, I took the only triple bogey on hole 2. of the entire day. I would like to not do that. So my goal, if I get on coverage this year, is to actually play well while being filmed, as both of the times I made lead card coverage so far, I played below my normal and just played okay. So I'd really like to perform well on coverage because that would also mean I'm probably competing well in the tournament in general. Um, Docs is not with my budget. That's good. Dude just says that's fair. That's fair. John Kelly, only the diehard disc guys are watching through the cold. I do think that's part of it. I do think that's part of it. But I did have more growth a year ago through the winter. I don't know if it's because I was in Florida at the time for most of that, and most of my videos were from Florida. I'm not sure. But I have just kind of seen that drop off recently. It's what's happening. I'm living with it. It's fine. But I am hoping that it picks back up with the Pro Tour. Doc says, Duja, have you thought about joining a team that doesn't really help you out much, but later on, when looking for a real sponsor, it would pad your resume? Duja says, that's what I was thinking. Something like a low-level, name-only sponsorship or a Discraft Underground type thing. Yeah, heck yeah. I mean, I would even consider Infinite because they don't look too heavily at rating. They more look at participation in social media, if you're able to have social media. Gator Guy says, have you considered making some instructional videos to help increase viewership? Yes, they have been remarkable so far. I made a how to putt, a putting tips video. It did fine. It did fine. Um, Normally, my longer videos tend to get between 400 views. Some of them pushing up to 700 or 800, just kind of naturally if it's like toboggan or something like that. My putting tips video barely broke 1,000, and it took several months. Then I made a like how to play disc golf, the basics, and that also kind of flopped, about 600 views. And then I also did what was my last one that I did? Maybe I didn't do any other directly educational videos. But when I have kind of leaned into that space, as a YouTuber, I'm looking for evergreen content. I'm looking for stuff that people are looking for over the long term. And I created those videos for that purpose. And neither of them did that well, and neither of them have continued to perform. So as I check back on those videos, I'm looking for a metric that says, this was a successful video idea, make more videos like this. And I just didn't see that. So for me, I want to make more instructional content, and I have plans to, but I have so many videos filmed already. I have 10 videos that I've fully filmed and a disc review that I've partly filmed for that are just waiting to be edited. But I have not had the time to sit down and edit through all of those videos and post them. So I had this huge backlog, and educational content takes more effort to make versus just filming a practice round where I can just edit it together and post it and take my like 250 views. That is easier than sitting down, writing a script, doing an educational video that barely gets 500 views. So it's kind of a tough thing. It's a tough call. I know that if I were to really heavily lean into it, I could really build from it. But the amount of time relative to the payoff for those videos is kind of a calculation that I'm struggling to make and really like go for it, particularly when a lot of my time is spent preparing for competitions in disc golf, not just preparing for content. So I'd like to. I have ideas. I have several video ideas that I have written down that I just have not gotten around to putting in the time during the week to write, film, edit, and publish. But hopefully one day I would love to. I also struggle to do too much directly educational because I don't want to teach the wrong way to do things. I would much rather do something where I say, this is how I have figured this out. This is what helps me. This is how I do things. And maybe it'll work for you. But it doesn't have a flashy headline like how to throw 400 feet because that gets clicks. Dude says, first, I've got to pump up my rating and get some good footage. Heck yes. Heck yes. For everything other than forehands, yeah. Doc says, oh, well, he's got a split grip. Sorry, but that's got to be yelled. It's the rule. I guess. Hey, JCT is back. Hope the shower hope the shower paid off. Doc says we missed you, man. Dude says I saw a quote this week, something about practicing is like shaving. The skill grows back thicker. Thought it was funny. Yeah, I've that's an interesting quote. That's an interesting quote. Dice says, do the cameras make you nervous? I would say I don't think so. I really don't think that it's just the fact that I'm being filmed. I think the fact that I played with Yuli was very nerve-wracking, because I'm like, he's watching me and he's chatting, with the guy who's winning, and I'm just like, like sitting there a little bit starstruck. I do think Am Worlds was just my worst course, and it was super windy day two, and I just had not been ready to rely on the Rive yet in the wind, because it was still pretty new to the bag, and I just threw my shots on the course in practice with no wind. It was like 97 degrees, no wind, and I was throwing my wild honey, good long placement shots and getting myself in position. And then I feel the wind, but I'm like, okay, I'll just hyzer the wild honey. And then it flips all the way over and goes, 140 feet out of bounds. And I'm like, okay, I guess I was not ready for this. So all the discs that I had picked based on my practice round were done. Like I shouldn't be throwing them in the wide open in the wind, but I just wasn't ready for that. So I don't think that it was so much the cameras and being filmed as it was the circumstances and worlds. And because off camera, I also struggled at the same course on Thursday. And as much as I struggled on Friday, I still performed better. And then on Wednesday, I had a good round again. So it was really like, it's unfortunate that Harmony Bends was where I played really well and got on coverage, but then I didn't get that round filmed or get filmed at Harmony, but I got filmed at my worst course instead. So that's kind of what I want to have happen if I do manage to make coverage. I want it to be like I made coverage. I'm going to the course that I am confident at, and I'm going to play well. JCT says, what coverage was you on? So I made greatest media team coverage for the Charlotte Roar Open 2024. And then I made gatekeeper coverage for Am Worlds 2025. Round two. Round two for both of those. Doc says, Brad considered trying to get on maybe Central Coast Disc Golf Channel, maybe a few less pros to compete with than the DGPT. Yeah, of course. I mean, I would also like Terry Miller, and like the Chainhawk Open is kind of my like destination tournament every year where I'm like, I'm going to end there. I'm going to hit it strong at the end of the year. I've won an MA1. I know I can put up the scores to potentially make league card coverage. And this year, I was just worn ragged and getting sick, and I just didn't put up. I mean, even in my practice round, I went 8 down with two bogeys. I can get to 9 or 10 down, like definitely. And 10 down probably makes coverage. I don't remember what the scores were this year. They were very competitive, if I would have made coverage or not with a 10 down, but I have the capability. Like I can put up that score. And then, of course, when the tournament starts, I'm feeling worn out. I play bad, just disappointing. I mean, I played and rated better the year before in MA1 than I did in MPO. So, bummer. But that's kind of like my end of the year shot where I'm thinking about that all year. Heading into the Chainhawk Open, I want to be prepared to do my best, give it my all, and have that decent chance at playing some of my old home courses of making lead card coverage. But there are other opportunities locally, greatest media team. I don't know how often Central Coast is around here, but there are several chances to be able to make coverage, and I want to make the most of them if they show up. Um, Doc says maybe Dujit, we can get Brad to sponsor you. 3 years, 3 shoes a year plus some jerky. No, not jerky. That's too expensive. Stick to the 3 shoes a year. I can do 1.5 years. All right, let's see. Let's see. Scroll too far. Dude just says the shoes sound like a U sponsorship. Yeah, that's a Doc sponsorship. JCT says putts have been really off. Dude just says they'll come back. Doc says maybe have the yips. Definitely not desperate enough to try Wardens yet. I was about to suggest that. Maybe it's the bead. If they don't work, try putting with the dragon. Tan Jesus says disc golf king. Thanks for hopping on and joining us. Doc says, you mean Sun King? I like their store. I do like Sun King. Florida guys. JCT says, noted, Doc. The dragon's coming out. Duda says, I've noticed my mental game improved significantly during my last tournament. I've heard that visualizing the struggle and setbacks during your competition helps you more than just visualizing victory. I tried that and it did help some, maybe just a placebo. Yeah, it could. I mean, keep it up, keep working on that mental game, and it can really kind of pay off. I've found that it helps when I do visualize good things. Like I want to visualize not just like I'm winning and I'm getting the prize, but I want to visualize what I'm throwing and what hole and where I'm aiming and how I'm shot shaping, and think about how I plant my feet and think about getting a clean release, and really like mentally work through the entire process of throwing a good shot on a hole. But also it helps to just have played the hole 150 times. That helped at the Chandok Open. Definitely. But yeah, there is something to be said for mental things putting you in a good state to do something successfully, even if you wouldn't think it would actually make a difference. But, you know, it's part of it. It's definitely part of it. Hey, John Kelly, I just saw one of your comments right before I didn't have a chance to respond, but I did see that you said something about the Pop Top Nuke. John Kelly says, Google Ricky Wysocki Pop Top Z Nuke. He's got a recent short video of him in Arizona throwing them on Facebook. You've got to get your hands on one. I'm impressed so far. Instant in the bag, like the Project Grip Rive. Heck yeah. I'll have to look up a video of it. I'll have to see how it flies. I definitely love my Rive, so if it is something kind of like the Rive, that might be good. But I haven't done much throwing of nukes. I've thrown the Nuke SS pretty successfully, but I haven't thrown the Nuke really. It's very interesting. Judah says, it said something like, since you visualized it, you're prepared for it, and it won't rattle you as much when you invariably mess up. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah. I think getting your mind and body prepared for a certain level of stress is very good, because when you do encounter it, it doesn't overwhelm you. Also, it helps to just be in that position over and over, because that'll help condition you as well. But if you don't have that and you just have visualizing, I can see that. Doc says, Brad, for Infinite, going to be doing more review videos to try sending people to your link. So I need to ask and see if I can get a promo code, because that isn't mentioned in the contract anywhere. I do need to join the Infinite Discs Discord so that I can kind of report to my captain or whatever they call it, the person who is going to be the kind of point. I'm gonna have to get things figured out pretty soon. I don't have any content wearing Infinite stuff yet. I only have one, and it hasn't been super warm, so I've got to get a nice sunny day, get some shots in wearing it, so I have some stuff to post with their branding, and hopefully do like an announcement thing. So yeah, I also need to check in and see, hey, do I get a promo code link? Can I get a promo code link? Because I would absolutely love to be able to push you guys to the sites and be able to say, hey, like Brad did this, like Brad got me here. And of course, if you're able to save some money, like I want that too. I don't know that I would get any kickback for that, but at the very least, I'd start building a reputation as being worth it. That would be really great. So I need to check in on a few things and kind of ask those questions, but I haven't done any of that yet. I submitted my paperwork by the due date and got a quick email saying excited for the year, but I haven't had anything else official with Infinite or any more correspondence like that. Duda says, "Oop, I scrolled too far." Does Brad have a link? If so, I'll use it from now on. I don't yet, or yeah, we'll see. Hopefully soon. Doc says, Ricky is going nuke. Is that why Yuli found another disc? Doc says, I thought he had an Infinite link on the Discord. No. Definitely not a promo code link. Final Billy says, good luck, Bud. Thank you very much. Doc says, Duja, all you do for Brad and you're not worth jerky. Duja says, jerky is a luxury in this economy. That's true. Duja's worth a bunch of free discs, and that's fair because I have a bunch of them. But yeah, jerky is crazy, dude. Jerky's crazy. Double G's is good, but unless you can get it free shipping, it's rough. It is. It is. Even when I just buy a bag like at a tournament, it's like $8 and it's like 4 ounces. It's like goodness gracious, it's gone so quick. It's good, but holy smokes, I just can't with jerky. It's too much. It's too much. Taxes. I do like the Dollar Tree bags. Great for the bag. Dollar Tree jerky or just a bag? Yeah, that's interesting. JCT says, Brad, I need a LeBron James signed DX Leopard. Yeah, I guess you do. I guess you do. Doc says it's a name brand. Name eludes me at the moment. Oh. Doc says Jack Links. I had to Google. There you go. Final Billy says I ate a leaf during my last tournament, and I swear I heard the trees start whispering tips to me. I don't know if that was a leaf, buddy. Not a normal leaf. Maybe you got some good advice from the trees, but I highly doubt it. I think they really want you to fail. Trees are tricky little sons of guns. They are. Watch what you get out there. Watch what you eat. I'd be wary. Doc says, what were the tips? I need them. Dude says, my home course, for how much I love it. It's only a 300-foot at max. Not jerky worthy most of the time. John Kelly says, Billy, the trees are breathing. They are. They are. DJ says, comment. Thanks for stopping by and commenting. Dude says, if I'm hungry, I just stop at a gas station. Jared says, buy a dehydrator, put some beef in it. Super easy to make and way less money. It's true. The dehydrators are a little bit, well, they don't do that much at a time. If you get big dehydrators, they take a while and you have to set it all up and everything. But it could be worth it. I've done dried venison after killing a deer 15 years ago, 14, 16 years ago, I think, when I shot my first doe. And that was pretty good. And that was long lasting. That was quite a bit of jerky that lasted for quite some time. But yeah, you can do it with beef. You can make that happen. I like dehydrated fruit, but that's a little expensive as well. Doc says, I like snacks on the course, especially if might be people ahead of me. Yes, that is good, especially if you don't feel confident playing through. You can eat something, hang out. I just do a bunch of granola bars that have chocolate in them. It's good enough for me. Doc says, Jared thought about trying it on the air fryer. Brad's double G flavor could be Taco Bell jerky. Oh. I might be able to convince Garrett to do a taco flavored jerky. That'd be hilarious. Dice highs for you, Brad's dough. You can make it in an air fryer. That would be good. Dice says rip. Yeah, the that dough, long story short, I used a muzzleloader and the scope was right, but I was using the edge of the blind as my anchor, as my like rest, and I tilted the gun without really realizing it. So I had the crosshairs in a decent spot, but I actually shot to the side and down instead of just up and down. So I hit the stomach. It lived for a while. We had to track it down and execute it. And some of the meat was spoiled. So it was kind of a bit of a tragedy. We lost the tenderloin, which is unfortunate, but the loin was so good, and it was basically tenderloin. So it was actually still really nice and worth it. After that, I used a bow for everything, for all my hunting, and that's where I killed Dexter, my 8-point buck that I have. 15 years old with a pointy stick. John Kelly says, yeah, Project arrived like 460 feet. I was mind blown. Goes like 20 feet further than I've gotten before. Hole 17 at Mott Park, Flint. Rive, New Ricky Nuke, and Q-Line DD3 going in the bag for sure. Gonna crush league. Heck yeah, that's how it's done. That's far, man. That's really far. Mr. Strange says, yo, I just got into disc golf with my brother, having a ton of fun. What's your go-to driver? For a beginner right now, I have a Leopard. And yes, I can't spell as I'm reading through it. Leopard is good for beginners. I like to recommend the Brave, not the swirly plastic, just the normal Royal Grand Brave for beginners who have played a little bit and who can throw over 200 feet, I think that's one of the best drivers. It's just a 7-speed. It turns over just a little bit if you have enough power, and if not, it's not going to fade like crazy on you. So I would recommend a Brave. Even before that, though, something like might be really good. I'll be giving this away in the next couple of weeks, so make sure you see that just in case you win the giveaway. But a Rolo is good because it's designed to roll for people who can throw hard. And so if you're super new, it will probably not roll for you, but it will like fly through the air and get a good flight out of it for someone with a lower arm speed. But welcome to the sport. Glad you're enjoying it, having a good time. Yeah, I would say Brave and something like the Rolo are going to be a couple of drivers I recommend for very new players. Maybe the Diamond. The Diamond's really good. They're lightweight, easier to throw, and they're going to be more understable and go further for you. Doc's probably going to try to throw the shoes. Probably going to tell you the shoe or the Innova Dragon are the best, but the Dragon's garbage. Shoe is not bad. JCT says, disc yet to get me my LeBron signed DX Leopard. Oh my word. So do you actually win that from the channel? I'll text Cam and be like, dude, get that man his LeBron signed DX Leopard. You say the word, I'll make that happen. Doc says, I think the Taco Bell comment might have just made me Brad's third best friend. Didn't care for that look he gave me on the camera. You unfortunately are not my third best friend, but it bumped you up a little bit. Pumped you up a little bit. Dice Heiser says, aw, traumatic. JCT says, Taco Bell is all right. Okay, we're moving on. We're moving on past the judge throwers, judge putters. Dude says, ever thrown a tilt before, Mr. Strange? Great beginner disc. Just get a function. Strange, heat is pretty good when you get consistent on the Leopard. Yeah. Sarah Coward says, yeah, you are streaming. Yes. Try to go at 7 p.m. every Sunday. I will not be streaming next Sunday. I will be at a disc golf conference all weekend. I actually won't be back until late Monday. It's really going to be a long weekend. JCT says, a West Side Underworld is great. Jared says, let my kids and new beginners throw the arrow. There you go. Arrow is a very interesting choice. Dice says, Mr. Strange, as someone who's been playing for 2 years and still throws like a new player, I recommend the Latitude 64 Maul. Jared says the arrow is 3600. Sarah Cowherd says, I have an Underworld. Heck yeah. John Kelly says, agree with the Heat as well. Heat is pretty good. Dude just says, I've only ever seen 55 pluses use a diamond. I used a diamond for my first year. It was in the bag for a while, and I was throwing a lot of hyzer flips with the diamond, but usually it is the older guys who love the diamond. They all love the diamond. Doc says, I like the diamond. We're not surprised. Mr. Strange says, thanks, bro. Thanks, Dice. Some good advice coming in, and then there's Doc. JCT says, guessed hole 16. Dice Heiser says, oh, you guessed hole 16 on Disrespect's channel? Heck yeah. Dice says, welcome, my friend. John Kelly says, wife throws a virus similar to the Heat is good too. Oh, the virus is a good one. I don't have my virus. I gave it away. I had a virus and it was just a virus in my gyro box a year ago. I got a couple really flippy ones that I did not keep. I gave those away. Virus is good. Very flippy. Doc says, dude, try one of the gravity lines of Lat 64. You will break a hip laughing. JCT says, Brad is such a hater on my channel. I can't believe it. Coming out with such accusations. I never. So judgy. Dice says, I put with an EMAC judge. Yeah, there you go. That's the company you keep. You wanna be best buddies with Todd? Then you're good. Hey, Justin's hopping on. I love Legos. It says, hey, Brad, thanks for hopping on, man. Appreciate you swinging through. Doc said, Strange, also try discount disc. No local store. Try understable discs under 9-speed. Yes. Justin says, sorry I'm late. No worries. You're here. Although I don't know if I have another full hour in me. Dude says, proxy goat putter. You can throw it too. Dice says, and I'm a terrible putter, so that only helps your argument. I love that. I may have said that before I read it, basically. Basically. He says, thank you. Yes, the under 9 speed discount discs is good advice, unlike the shoe or dragon advice. Oh, heck yeah, Justin with the jewels. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Legend. Kyle says, hello, just saying hi. The peace sign. Doc says, wow, I say heat. Dude just says tilt, but Brad gives me the sarcasm. Maybe. JCT says, Judge is a real man's putter. Don't let Brad talk you out of it. He can be very convincing. Dice says, my wife throws a diamond, but I find it's too flippy for even low arm. Yeah, that makes it a great beginner disc for sure. But there are also some heavier ones and higher quality plastics that won't flip like crazy on you. Kind of like the Halo Rolo that won't be quite as bad. But yeah. Sarah Cowherd says, my mom's client's husband is Jeremy Colling, which is awesome. Super cool. And yeah, I saw Big Germ at the Charlotte Roar Open round 1. I was warming up for 45 minutes before my round. And Big Germ and Michael Johansson and who else? Yuli played later. It was the MP50 guys. Barry Schultz also was in the area. And they were just warming up, chatting, talking, putting. And I was just like, huh, I'm also here putting. But that was pretty cool. They were hanging out. Dude just says, hey, at least I gave a real recommendation. Doc says, dice, when it gets too flippy for her, try a heavyweight diamond. Yeah. JCT says, Todd, let's just team up against this guy. Yeah. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Mr. Strange says, I might be a little ahead of myself, but I am thinking about getting an understable driver for the holes on my local course. Is that a bad idea? An understable drive? You mean the disc, the drive, the Paige Pierce drive? Or are you saying an understable driver, period? Because an understable driver, like a fairway driver, is a good way to do it. Final Billy says, hi, my name is Brad. I'm reading a comment right now. How do you like my voice? Listen to it. Yes. Keep listening. Yes. You like that? That was pretty funny. Doc says, nope, Mr. Strange, you want understable. He said understable. Oh, you're saying, is that a bad idea? You're saying, no, it's not a bad idea. Yes. Thank you, Doc. Sorry. Misread. Dude says one of those and a neutral to understable putter as well, Mr. Strange. But don't overspend. Yeah, Doc over here will overspend. So don't be like Doc. Dude says many of us here are guilty of that. That is true. Doc says overspend like addicted to whatnot. Not anyone I know. Final Billy says, hi, my name is Brad. Warden is the best putter. Yes, it is. That's a really great comment. Appreciate that. Dude just says, because if you don't have a discount at your local shop for spending so much, what are you even doing? That's a problem. That is a problem. Dude just says, don't listen to Doc. Whatnot is how you go bankrupt. Dice Heiser says, JCT, team anti-Brad. And that's coming from a guy who won a disc from me. I'm a little bit personally offended by that alliance. After Todd won my Opto Orbit Splash River and threw it on his channel, shouted me out and everything, he's going to turn on me? I'm going to run your channel into the ground. Teaming up against me. Hey, I've got Cam, I got disrespect on my side, so I don't know what you guys think you're doing, but I think I'm fine. Although, I don't remember what he putts with. He putts with something weird. Jared says, if you like the Rolo, try the Wombat 3. Slightly more stable, but super fun. Prefer it to the Rolo unless I'm rolling it. Yeah, the Wombat 3 is definitely more of a straight shot. Definitely more of a straight shot. Hey, we got Will Poulter. Daniel Oliverio says, hey guys, came to disturb. Thanks for hopping on, Daniel. JCT says, we need a Brad hate channel. Dice says, Doc, the wife will never outgrow it. She only golfs once a year if I'm lucky. Oof. Yeah, I mean, that's still fun that she gets out there, but yeah. Not likely to happen quickly. JCT says, not run by me, of course. Yeah, I'm sure. Sarah Coward says, want to play a round soon with you. What course? Scrapyard or something else? I was kind of thinking Kilborn for the next choice. I definitely won't be able to do it in January though, so it's going to be a few weeks. Uh, Doc says, "Hey, that's still pretty good, dice. I mean, getting out there is good, as long as it happens occasionally. But it's a bummer not to go out more often." Doc says, "Mr. Strange, discount discs. You can build your own bundle. Try some lesser known brands. It's fun." Dice Heiser says, "Fake news." Doc says, "Also heard about that alliance. Brad, I was not asked to join." Dice Heiser says, "And then I aced with that Splash River. I did not see your ace. Did you tell me? Did you tell me that you aced that? I didn't see it. I feel bad about that. I feel bad. I should have seen it. That's really sad. Maybe I did see it. I'm trying to remember now. I just remember when you got the disc and you showed it off on camera. That was really cool. And then you threw it with your other river and you're like, I'm not sure if it's any better." It's like you're at least supposed to pretend like it's a better disc. You won it. You're supposed to be like, "Yeah, Birdie Time gave me this. It's really good." Kodo says, "Keeper of colorful discs, can you answer my riddle?" I don't know. As long as it's appropriate, I will attempt to answer it. So fire away. But I'll take a second to get down through the comments. Dice says, "You're right now. I feel guilty." Sarah says, "I know." Yeah, we'll get out there. Maybe Kilborn. I think Kilborn's a good one because it's still like a somewhat challenging course, but none of the holes are crazy far or super difficult as long as we stay off of the Skillborn layout. That's a challenge. Dude just says, "Dang, sounds like I need to start a pro Brad alliance, even though I've never touched a Warden." Hey, the pro Brad alliance isn't about the Warden. It's about solidarity. So I really appreciate that, Dude. You are a legend. I mean, you already started the Discord, so I can't complain. Doc says Dude likes to be alone. Oh gosh. Daniel says, "I hope he hasn't forgotten me. Otherwise, I'm going to start getting very angry." I have not forgotten you, and I came up with my nickname for you, which I had thought of the actor, but I couldn't remember his name, and it is Will Poulter. So that is now your nickname. Dice Heiser says, "It wasn't filmed. My second ace, farthest ace, 230. Okay, it wasn't at least on video that I missed. So that at least is good, on my part. 230. Dang. Not too bad. Heck yeah." Doc also recommends Factory Second, Innova Factory Second store. Sarah Coward says, "I feel bad. All these people hating on Brad. It's okay. I can handle it. They have to express their negative feelings towards someone because they can't handle all the failures in their own life." I'm just kidding. No, I get it. I roll with it. It's no problem. Stu says, "My only ace so far was I made it into a cast iron grill cemented in the ground at a local city park." I love that so much. That is hilarious. Oh, that's wonderful. Mr. Strange says, "I have so many screenshots from this chat. Thanks for all the good info." Heck yeah. The tilt is not good info. Don't throw the tilt. That was a joke. That was a joke. Everything else was pretty good advice. Dice says, "Brad, I couldn't help it when I threw both rives and my Opto Ice kept breaking 300. I was like, well, what can I say?" Yeah. JCT says, "Cam putts with a Goliath Covenant." Okay, Covenant. Dice says, "Sarah, we hate him because we love him." Doc says, "We do." JCT says, "Dice, I had a 230 foot ace with a Luna for my second ace." There you go. Sarah says, "It was a joke." Yes. Mr. Strange says, "Whoa." Dice says, "Ace Bros." JCT says, "Let's go." Heck yeah. What was my second ace? First ace was a katana. Second ace was Terra? Brave? Keystone? I can't remember what my second ace was. Might have been a Warden, actually. I think Warden was my second ace. Daniel says, "He even remembered the name. I'd forgotten it too." Dude just says, "Last round I accidentally hit a moving car with my wave. Luckily the driver didn't seem to notice." Uh, Sarah Coward says, Can someone say something really mean so I can put them in timeout?" That's really good. My moderator's just like waiting for somebody to cross the line. Doc says, LOL, dude, did you get the disc back? Important question. Dude just says, put Doc in a 30-second one for the fun of it. You've got my permission. JCT says, katana. Yes, it is here on the shelf. Oh, there's a diamond. I forgot I had this diamond still. 155 gram. First ace, Pro Katana. Heck yeah. Such a good disc before this chunk was taken out of it and it never flew the same. But yeah, this was one of my first drivers. I was throwing the Sidewinder, Mamba, and Katana. And I think it was about a 245-foot shot, Jonesville hole 4. I was playing doubles with Cullen, and I just stepped up, aced it, a little flex line around a tree, cruised in and aced it, and I was like, oh yeah, first ace. Didn't film it or anything like that, but boom, with the Katana. It's pretty aggressive. It's pretty crazy. That was pretty fun. Doc says, wow, Duja, I will remember that. Duja says, disc was unharmed. Don't know about the car. JCT says, Tara. No, not a Warden. Yes. Warden might have been my third ace. I can't remember. It was a while back. Sarah says, haha, no. Doc says, Katana usually hated more than the groove. Why? The Katana's solid. It's a solid disc. I don't know why. It's not weird like the groove. It's just a disc. That's so strange. And I'm not one to hate on the groove. I'm just saying, like, it's at least weird. Like, it has a weird shape. The Katana is just a disc. I don't get it. John Kelly says, second ace, Innova Star Boss, 328 feet. Jeez. The long aces. I still haven't aced over 300. I've chained out from 350, and that hurt my feelings, but still haven't aced over 300 yet. The Brave got me a 300-foot ace. Doc says, the anti-Warden was pretty bad. Put them in timeout. Stu says, if you can get the disc through the car window, it should count as an ace. True. Mr. Strange says, potato. This is a super mean thing. Dude just says, Doc, you wouldn't get the feeling of timing someone out. The power. Dice Heiser says, LOL, the feeling of power. Dude says, my only ace discs are a Hex, Caprap, Pixel, and another Hex. There you go. Doc says, dude, I was a mod for FPO during the Ryan issues. Yes, I do. Oh, that would have been, I wouldn't have even wanted to be a mod during that time because how do you draw the line between warranted criticism and cruelty? Anyways, doesn't matter. Daniel says, is it cold there? Because here in Brazil, it's ridiculously hot. Yes, it's cool here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Michigan, it's very cold. There's snow on the ground. Gross. Florida, it's not too bad. It just depends on what part of the country. But where I am, it's just windy, so it's cool, but not really cold. Not super hot, though. Dude just says, you're a veteran for that, Doc. It's winter in the northern hemisphere, Daniel. For the northern U.S., it is very cold. Yes, for people further north than me. Doc says, Brad, I didn't hate on it. Just around here, people will literally leave on the course. You call and they're like, oh, no, thank you. No, I wasn't saying you were hating on it. But that's really funny. That is the disc where people lose it and they're like, it's just my katana. I don't want my katana. I actually lost my katana and then I was playing around with a guy, a tournament round. Actually, no, after a tournament round, he wanted to play a practice round before he shipped off. In whatever military training or Marines or whatever. And we got to hole 4 at Jonesville. I said, this is my first ace. Katana, I lost it. It was a yellow katana with a chunk missing. He's like, I think I found your disc. It was in his car. It's just in his trunk. He just had my disc in his trunk. And he'd had it for about 3 months. Was my name and number on it? Yes. Yes, it was. Is there a Dropbox at Jonesville? Yes. Yes, there is. That's all I'll say. I got my disc back. Got my disc back. JCT says, you know what? I'm just getting out of MA4 this year. Heck yeah, man. You're getting into MA2? at least, if not MA1. You're headed that way. Your form's pretty good. You're gonna cruise out of MA4. Easy. You guys are insane. Dude, it says 28 degrees Fahrenheit where I live, Daniel. That's cold. What is that, like -1 Celsius? JCT says, I plan to play MA3. I mean, I think you'll hit MA. I think you'll cruise through MA3. My experience was I was in MA4 for quite a while, finally won a tournament, turned around to MA3, won quickly, stuck it for like 3 months, won the Chainhawk Open, was like, okay, MA2 time. And then 6 months in MA2 and jumped up to MA1. I think it's kind of a quick thing from MA4 to MA1 for people who are, working hard and headed in a good direction. Eric Howard says, am I the only one here that eats ants anything for extra protein? Probably. Daniel says, OMG, Doc. John Kelly says, 328 was definitely my furthest ace, 278 second longest, and less from there. Those 400-foot aces are so crazy. That's wild. 400 plus is insane. JCT says, we should all leave Brad's live so he's talking to no one. That's fine. I'd be able to use the bathroom then. Doc says, part of the reason I don't want to mod, nah, he would just go to sleep. Yeah, the modding can beat some tough choices sometimes. Yeah, I would probably go to sleep at some point. Sarah Coward says, Brad deserves $1 million in viewers. Thank you. From the Anteater, that really means a lot. It really means a lot. JCT says, fair enough. The anti-Brad movement is floundering a little bit, but there's an attempt. There's an attempt. Dude says, the only bad ones here are just random counts, and they're obviously deletable. Yeah, usually it's just someone stumbling across a live stream. And I would say that's happened less lately. I think YouTube is pushing my videos less. My lives were pushing 1,800 views throughout the live stream, and then they kind of dropped to below 1,000, like overnight, basically in October, November, and I haven't hit 1,000 since October, I don't think, or maybe before October. I haven't hit 1,000 views on a live stream. Jared says, in Florida, and I think that's mostly like those extra people who come through for 3 seconds and maybe will leave a comment about plates or insult me or try to make sense, and like none of those are showing up anymore. Jared says, in Florida, my home course is Holloway Park. Hard to very hard, but nice if you're ever in Lakeland. Interesting. So I lived in Gainesville for 3 years. I played a lot of North, and then I played a lot of Jacksonville, and I was just in Daytona. Tuscaloosa, I competed at War a year ago, 2024 War in August. Then I played near Tampa, but mostly, and a little bit of Orlando, but mostly around the Gainesville area. I haven't really been down in the Lakeland area. Final Billy says, hi, Brad here again. I know I said Final Bill said, but don't be fooled. This is my opinion, what I'm about to say. Taco Bell is good. It's a weird thing for you to say, but I get it. Dude just says, seeing Doc retract this message in real time, it is kind of a special thing. It's pretty fun to watch that happen. Doc says, Billy, I did not care for the lettuce on my Nacho Bell Grande fries. Dice Heiser says, poll, who has a current PDJ membership? I'll do that. That's a nice poll. All right. Do you have a current PDJ membership? Yes. No. Start poll. All right. Daniel says, what have you been up to these past few days? Just curious. Past few days? I had a disc golf tournament yesterday. Didn't play super well. It was kind of windy and wet. I slipped a few times, changed out of a few putts. Meh. Other than that, I've been playing a little bit of Kingdom Crusaders 3, and it's a very, very involved game, fairly addictive. So I've had to put it down a few times. Did some work for a nonprofit. I do a lot of tech work and research, basically helping pastors and missionaries to take breaks, rests, Not just like free vacations, but a spiritual break with the ability to refresh and renew and get back into ministry work, which can be very overwhelming and depressing, and just a constant struggle for people who serve. So doing some of that. Um, those are the big things. Yeah, pretty much. Played some Rocket League with a buddy last night. That was pretty fun. Let's see. Dice says, I have no PDJ membership. Doc says, Sarah just asked if Brad had his number on it. Oh, yes. Nathaniel says, hi. Thanks for hopping on, Nathaniel. Doc said, some people, especially pros, will just mark it with their PDJ number, not phone number. Yeah, I'm not at that level or anything. I definitely put on my phone number because I want to get my disc back quickly. JCT says, the problem is I have to travel almost 2 hours to the closest tournament. Is really unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. Hopefully disc golf grows toward your local area because that's insane. That's very hurtful. Doc says, dude, are you trying to get Brad to adopt you? Oh my gosh. Hey, Paul, thanks for the jewels. Really appreciate it. Legend. Let's see. Sarah says, bro, you should nickname me the Anteater. Final says, Doc, you get what you deserve. JCT says, there's Southwest Arkansas. Yeah, I guess that's on you, man. No, that makes sense. I get that. I get that. Dude just says, I thought 30 to 45-minute drive was bad. Sarah says, my name is Silas, though. Yes. Sarah Coward is the account, but Silas is the name. Doc says, I know Sarah. Yeah, 30 to 45 is annoying enough. 2 hours is brutal. Dude just says the Cincinnati area tournaments. Sarah Coward says, bro, it was so windy today. Yes, it was super gusty. I mean, probably worse wind than yesterday, although at Veterans, it was unbelievable. If anybody didn't hear it, I was at Veterans Park to warm up yesterday and I putted like 4 times, and my final putt, just ripping tailwind. And I just putted left side, spit through, fell out, and proceeded to wobble for 150 feet on flat ground. The wind just kept pushing it up and pushing it further and further. And it didn't just roll, like it just wandered its way, wobbling the whole time at a snail's pace. It probably took 15 seconds before it stopped rolling. It was unbelievable. And I had 2 witnesses that watched it happen as my brother's hat goes flying off his head and tumbling across the grass. It was unreal. It just would not fall down. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sarah Coward says, okay, Doc. JCT says, I only have 3 courses with that is a bummer. That is a bummer. I had that in Gainesville area for a long time. There were only 3 real courses within 30 minutes, but we had Garrett Gurthey's home course, Northside Park, and we had a lot of tournaments. Not constant, but regular tournaments. Of course, Charlotte is lucky. Like there's so many tournaments all the time. Dude, it says Foundation Silas, LOL. You can edit Brad's videos. Oh, please edit my videos. Please. I have so many videos. If someone would just edit them, people would be able to watch them. Jared says there's a new one in Alachua, Gainesville, but Chainhawk is better. Yes, I played Legacy. It's good. It's a good course. Some of the holes, stupid. Charlotte would never make a hole with such a small gap so far off the tee as 16, 17, 10, and 11. Stupid. Stupid. But otherwise, the course is great. No, it's a good course. I'm glad that they put it in. I used to practice distance throws at Legacy Park, and then they put a course in there. It's really cool. So I played that for the Chainhawk Open. But yeah, Northside and Jonesville are my favorites. Jonesville in particular. Dude just says, I do, but I will not be releasing it as it doesn't reflect my current skill. Doc says, waiting to see how long PDA decides to make someone pay for their PDJ number or they give it away to someone else. I don't think that's possible because, yeah, I don't think that's possible. Like they're gonna keep like numbers will keep counting up. So I don't see that being a thing. But they already do, like if you don't pay, you can't really view your history because you're not current. And I think that they need to make that a free feature that just because you don't have a current membership doesn't mean that they lock your stats away. Like those should be publicly accessible. Dude, it says random disk time, please, Brad. Okay, random shelf disk. All right, totally random. Misprint Zeus. Not as random. This is an orc. I've thrown this orc, but I've never heard of someone throwing an orc in my. I don't even know where I found it, but I found this somewhere, no name, no number, and now I have an Innova orc. 10-4 negative 1-3. I don't know. It's an orc. It's pretty stable. It's by my destroyers, or some of my destroyers. So random. Daniel says, I love that he updated me on things. Now I don't feel lost anymore. Good. I'm glad you're not lost. Dice says, 3 people have voted that they are Doc. We have 20% of 15. So that's 3 people. That's great. I love that. Oh, that's great. So it's about 50-50. Well, 40-40. The yes versus no, and then 20% say that they are Doc. That's really great. That is good. Dude just says having a low PDJ number would be such a flex. It is. And when you find a disc, even under like 60,000, you're like, oh, like 24,100. Who's that? It's like, oh, cool. It's pretty cool. Sarah Coward says, Brad, you have to go play Frank Lisk. Frank List or Lisk? Yeah, not in this window. No, I haven't played it. I do need to play it, but I don't know. I just don't have tournaments there, so it's never the priority course. It's always like Bradford, Eastway, Scrapyard, Angry, Bailey. Like I'm just bouncing around in the more, concentrated, normal kind of courses that have tournaments. And Frank Lisk, I just hasn't been at the top of the list. Doc says, to be fair, 2 of them were me. Dude says, sorry, Frank Lisk. Yeah, I thought it was the Lisk. Dude says, I'd honestly rather PDJ numbers be absorbed by UDisc. UDisc just seems to be much more organized and clean. I would say that PDJ does good with stats and keeping things official, but UDisc does better with UI and the user interface and accessibility. So that's fair. I think that they could combine, and they should combine. They already have their own ratings and so much more. Yeah, they did. I think you're right, Doc. They did cut ties with the PDJ, and it was stupid. UDisc is the best, Dice Heiser says. JCT says judges don't spit out and roll. In this wind, it would have probably rolled further because the bead would have been preventing it from falling over. Dice says worst decision they ever made. Yeah. Dude says I'm sure that's disrespecting the history for old heads like Doc who were around when it was founded. Yes, that's very true. Doc says maybe Brad just has some bad experiences with judges in his younger days. Actually, I had good experiences with judges. I didn't putt with it, but I had my first eagle with a judge throw-in. It was actually a tree kick. It was very beautiful. Also with Cullen, and I think it was also a doubles round. Huh. But I used to throw the judge and loved it, and then I just left it by the fairway, walked a few holes ahead, remembered and went back, and it was just gone. Somebody walked by, saw a frisbee on the ground, quote unquote, picked it up and kept it. Same thing with my ace echo and my best beaten in cosmic neutron echo. Just in the middle of the woods, scrapyard hole 7, forgot it, 35 feet from the basket, a few holes ahead, came back, it was gone. Nobody had played through, just some dude walking through the woods just kept a disc. Has my name and number on it, it's just gone. Probably in his shed out back because he tried throwing it with his kid and bonked him in the head and it hurt way worse than a frisbee. Annoying. Dude just says, that's why you don't use either and get yourself a proxy. Doc said, when we started, we threw pie pans at dinosaurs. Daniel said, do you think he's hiding something? Who's hiding something? Doc? Doc says, definitely. The old throw a flying thing at another thing game. Dice Sizer says, UDisc ratings. Mine is 186. Dude just says, I think it said my best round 40 rating on UDisc. I don't pay for UDisc Plus. My best is Harmony Benz and Worlds Round 1. I put it on UDisc, and it's 278 rated or 289. I can't remember. I think it was 278 rated. But I'm like 252 UDisc rating for my best 8 rounds. Doc says, dude, actually, that was a saying in the old days. They played object disc golf. You threw your disc at a certain thing, like a tree or something. Yeah, that's what do they call it? Hobo golf. Hobo golf. That's the insensitive way of labeling it. Dude just says we need to make this a reoccurring segment on the streams. Random shelf disc. Sounds good. Yes, I like it. Simon, get Brad a disc of the day stand. Disc of the day. I kind of like that. I try to do it with the stream intro. Like I try to have a new disc for my thumbnail for the stream. Not the same thing, but I do always try to do a new one. John Kelly says, I used to bag a star. Orc was a good disc before I lost it in tick-infested weeds. First disc I ever found. That's really good. Very interesting. I think you're the first person who's ever told me that they used to throw an orc or bag an orc. Because I found it and I was like, there's a disc called an orc? I love it, though. Love me a Lord of the Rings disc. Doc said, I would have voted no, so no is winning by a bit. Well, no is winning now by a bit. It says the course gives and takes, John. Doc says, putting everything behind a paywall. I think most people now just ignore the PDGA. I think most people don't have incentive because it's tournaments. Like if you're not, there's no incentive, and if you are, there is. So there aren't that many people playing regularly who don't have a PDGA number. Yes, them not wanting to pay is part, like people who don't pay, who maybe would think about competing. Part of their reason for not competing can be that they don't want to pay the PDGA. I think that's a very small percentage of people. I think for the most part, people who compete a lot pay for the membership, and people who don't compete a lot because it's not, they have to play 4 tournaments a year for it to be, worthwhile. So if you don't, it's not. Yeah, it's fine. And you're not going to build a regular player rating playing twice a year. So it makes sense to me. Dude says, yeah, only the invested disc golfers pay for a PDGA number. Yes. JCT out. Good night. Good night. Good night. I don't know how long ago that comment was, but farewell, JCT. Catch you soon. Sarah Howard says, it was in Florida 2 weeks ago, caught a massive 12-pound catfish. Heck yeah, dude. Jeez, that's awesome. Doc says, it's like if NBA players paid for being pros and the rest of us are just happy to have fun on the neighborhood courts. So when I was selling an Echo, I was tempted to grab it for Brad, and you didn't? No, it's okay. I appreciate you thinking of me. Sarah Howard says, have to go, got school. Peace out. Thanks for hopping on the stream. I won't stream next week, but I'll be back soon. Catch you soon. Doc says, oh, like orcs, but not dragon. Hurtful. Well, dragon's too broad. Like an orc is a more Rings reference, and a dragon is kind of a, yes, there is a dragon in The Hobbit, but they're barely referenced, and it's very generic. Yeah, and they're in everything. Like it's just as much an Aragon reference, more of an Aragon reference than a Lord of the Rings reference. And I do love Aragon. You actually can't see it, but got the whole Aragon series and Murtagh and the Fork, the Witch, and the Worm off on a shelf. Dude just says, to be fair, one of my first discs was a nuke, so I can't really judge. Like the name and stamp, Doc says. Dude just says, I think the only way for PGA to significantly boost memberships would be for numbers to be mandatory to play sanctioned rounds. Smog is barely referenced in Lord of the Rings. It's featured in The Hobbit. I'm talking about the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Smog is, I don't even know if Smog is referenced. I think there's a reference to dragon once or twice that they exist in the world, but it's only in The Hobbit that Smaug is actually encountered as a character, as an enemy, and that dragons are talked about at any length. But the Lord of the Rings trilogy basically doesn't mention dragons whatsoever. They're so rare and like non-featured in the world. They're just like an existent thing. So I don't count that as a Lord of the Rings reference when it's just The Hobbit and doesn't really spill over into the rest of Middle Earth's lore very much. Jerome Payne says we have the Grayling Open, and just saying. I won't be in Michigan until April. Grayling, that's a little bit north. That's a little chilly. Doc says never had them just taking a shot. DJ says what's the craziest course everyone's played? Good question. Doc says dragons are a rare and beautiful thing. I agree. Craziest course? Trying to think. I mean, I think in terms of quote unquote craziest, probably a course where there were like par fours and par fives that were like 280 feet. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't know about craziest. I mean, geez, probably Maple Hill is the craziest. Toboggan is the craziest. It's too hard. It's too hard. He just says mine was the number one course in Indiana. 24-hole layout goes from gettable 300 par threes to 800-foot par fives real quick. Super. Doc says sadly the league I was playing with then was like, no, we don't use those pars. Oh, Doc says played a few. It was an old one that was super easy with the pars. Par four 800 footers, not par five. Yeah, par four 800 footers are hard. Okay. Paul says craziest course, King's Throne at Lindrith, New Mexico. Whoa, that's awesome. I've never played nearly that far west. That's really cool. Final Billy says the new Predator movie is incredibly adorable. Coolest Disney movie ever made. Oh, that's cool. I have not seen any of the Predator movies, but it sounds fun. I'm going to wrap things up. 9 o'clock being a cutoff time for me as I get older and older. Yeah, so if you have any more comments or questions, get them out quickly in the next couple of minutes. I will respond to them and chat, but I will be wrapping things up in just a couple of minutes. Let's see. Any big news? I mean, I have the Eagles Wings conference. Next week I won't be streaming, but I will be back in 2 weeks at 7 p.m. Sunday night as normal. As long as I'm not sick or something crazy happens, I'll be here. So I look forward to catching you guys again at that point. Judah says I made it about 420 and botched the upshot. Yeah, that could hurt. Final Billy waving goodbye with a disc and the chains. Judah says, see y'all, have a good week. Doc says, keep tight, don't let the bedbo fight. John Kelly says, have a good week, everyone in the disc golf community. Final Billy with a wave and a lot more chains than the disc. Doc says, next week we'll be streaming the Anti-Brad League. Everyone's invited but Dujit. Paul with Marshmallow High for 100 joules. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Legend. Final says disc treat. Dang it. I love that. Dujit says fine. I don't even want to attend. Dujit, we'll make our own Discord server and make it private so that that Doc can't be part of it. It'll be the Pro Brad disc golf server, and we won't even comment. We'll just both be part of it. And in solidarity, we will be silent. Doc says, but you got to bring the soup. All right, guys. It's been great. Love you all. I'll be back on the stream in a couple of weeks, and hopefully you guys don't go anywhere. I'll be back here, and we'll be able to hang out again. Hopefully I have good news from the Eagles Wings conference. I hope things go well, are fun, and I come back rejuvenated in disc golf and encouraged in the faith. Doc says, be safe. Nigel says, what's favorite disc? Echo, Brave, Soul, Enigma. Those are my top 4. All right, guys. Love you all. Peace out.